Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. If you've been considering moving to Cochrane, Alberta here in 2026, you need to watch this video. I'm going to break down the real pros and cons of living in Cochrane, Alberta, and what that might mean for you. We're going to talk about traffic, commute times, town amenities, and of course, how close we are to the mountains. I grew up here in Alberta, and I've been commuting through and living in and around the Cochrane area my whole life. I'm going to give you the honest feedback to help you navigate this next chapter. For my first pro, I'm going to talk about the obvious, the proximity to the mountains and recreation. Cochrane is only 15 minutes away from Ghost Lake, a public reservoir where you can paddleboard, swim, fish, and boat. Ice fish in the winter, but you're also 45 minutes to Canmore, you're an hour to Banff, and it's only 30 minutes from Bragg Creek's trail systems where you can trail run, hike, bike, and do all of those fun sports as well. So Cochrane is really well set up. It's about halfway to where most people work, and it's about halfway to where most people recreate. It's giving you that best of both worlds, and honestly, I truly feel that is Cochrane's biggest flex. Okay. So this next one is gonna be split. It's kind of a pro, it's kind of a con. I'll let you be the judge. Maybe drop a comment down below and let me know what you think. And that is commute access. Now, Cochrane being very close to Calgary, where most people who live in Cochrane work, you will have to commute. So some people are gonna view that as a con, 100%. But there is a couple different access routes, and the commute time is really not that bad. And the traffic here coming out of Cochrane and commuting into Calgary is nowhere near as bad as some of the cities like Vancouver, Toronto, or God forbid, if you go down in the States, LA, Chicago, and New York. So at the end of the day, you are not having to deal with the real headache, bumper to bumper log jams on multi-lane freeways. However, you do have that, 30 minutes to 45 minutes in the morning and in the evenings to commute into Calgary for your work. Okay, next up on the list, and this one also is a little bit split. It's kind of a pro, kind of a con. It really depends on what field you're in, and that is job opportunities here in Cochrane, Alberta. Now, Cochrane does not have the big oil companies and the big energy sector and the big amount of employment that major cities do. But we live right beside Calgary, which is a hub for all of those things. So while you're gonna have to commute, there is good job opportunities here in Alberta, and that's a pro, especially from some of the other provinces where the job market isn't as strong. Now, with that being said, the con comes in because you may have to commute. But Cochrane's job opportunity market is growing. We do have major global players like Garmin here that have set up an office and have expanded in the last couple of years. We do have further growth in the healthcare sector, more vet clinics opening up, more doctors' offices and dental clinics opening up because the town is growing and it needs those things. So there is some increases in job opportunities here in Cochrane. And if you ask the residents, one of the biggest things they complain about is the construction and the expansion of the town. But at the end of the day, that is also jobs for the Cochrane, Alberta market. So if you're in the construction field, we are growing, we are expanding. We're one of the fastest growing places here in Alberta. And so yes, there is work here for you if you're looking for it. Okay, and the next pro, and it is 100% a pro. Cochrane is an extremely safe community. Families choose Cochrane because of how safe it is. It is a small town feel, people are friendly on the streets, and it is consistently ranked as one of the safer places to live in Alberta and in Canada. It is way below the national and provincial averages for small crime and violent crime. And honestly, that small town community feel is what causes a lot of that. Obviously, we are close to Calgary, so you're gonna get some bleed over, but in the general scheme of things, Cochrane is an extremely safe and family-oriented community, and that is a huge pro. Okay, and the last pro on the list I'm gonna touch on is affordability and housing. Now, Cochrane being a satellite community to Calgary does see a little bit better value for your dollar. You can get a little bit more house, maybe a little bit wider lot, and definitely, depending on the area of Calgary, some much better views with the river valley and the mountain views we get here in Cochrane. And so your dollar tends to go a little bit further in exchange for that commute time. Now, while Cochrane is growing significantly, there is a lot of demand. We do have a lot of houses available. Cochrane is and has been growing extremely fast. And so with that, the prices have grown over the past couple of years. It still is a place where buyers and families can find a little bit more value for their dollar than in the bigger city like Calgary, and especially in Vancouver and Toronto, where most of you are moving in from. Okay, so now let's get into the true cons of Cochrane, Alberta. And the first one is going to be rush hour traffic. Cochrane is a small town at heart and has seen extreme amounts of growth in the last couple of years. And so with that, we are seeing the signs of that increased number of cars on the road, whether it be your commute into Calgary in the morning and coming back at night, or whether it be just getting across the train tracks when that pesky train happens to roll on by. We do see a little bit more congestion than we have in the past. So traffic may be a concern. Now, Cochrane is really good at forcing infrastructure. Southwell Landing is putting in a new connector road into the city to help those communities on the south side of the river. And then Highway 1A and Highway 22 overpass is now nearing completion. And the traffic flow through there is so much better than it used to be. It used to be a four-way stop. This is much better. Okay, the next big con on the list is the lack of big city amenities. Now, while Cochrane does have multiple grocery store options and more coming, plenty of healthcare options in terms of clinics and doctors, one thing we don't have in Cochrane is a true hospital. While we have urgent care, it does have some limited services compared to a main hospital. And also, it is not a 24/7 facility. It typically closes at about 11 p.m. So you will have to commute into Calgary during those real nighttime hours to either, the Foothills or the Children's Hospital into Calgary where the main hospitals are. On top of that, Cochrane does not have the major shopping centers that a big city has. We don't have the Cross Iron Mills Mall or Market Mall or Chinook Mall. Again, they're about 35 to 40 minutes away, but they're not right in town. And then we do not have a bustling nightlife scene or a concert scene. Again, for both of those, you're going to have to commute into the neighboring city of Calgary. And depending on what you choose to do there, getting a ride back out may be a little bit more challenging because of the distance. So if you are somebody that thrives on big city energy and thrives on nightlife and thrives on those shopping centers, I'll be honest, Cochrane may not be the right fit for you, and that's totally okay. Finally, I'm going to touch on two more things in the cons category, and I highlighted one a little bit earlier in the video, but I just want to reiterate it right in the cons section. So you have that here, is obviously Cochrane has a smaller local job market. There's only 40,000 residents. There's only so many businesses that can support, and with that, only so many jobs. And the last thing with that is that with Cochrane being a smaller and extremely fast-growing town, we have seen signs of stresses on our school system here in the past few years. This is not a problem that is local to Cochrane. It is a problem that I hear from residents moving from BC, that I hear from major big cities. Schools are full. There is some good news coming for Cochrane. We do have full approval for the Rivercrest K-8 school, which is going to take a ton of pressure off of Fireside and the other schools in Cochrane. And then right now in the Rocky View budget, which is the school district for Cochrane, Alberta, both the K-8 school in Heartland and the high school just north of Heritage Hills on the Horse Creek recreation site area are sitting as the top two priority level schools for the entire Rocky View district. And so we're hoping that Cochrane is going to get some alleviation in its pressures on its school here in the next 4 to 5 years. So if you've watched this video and the pros outweigh the cons for you, and you are seriously considering moving to Cochrane, Alberta and have more questions, feel free to reach out. I'd love to help you with that. This is the area that I know, and this is the area that I work in. My contact information is on the screen now and in the description of the video. As always, if you liked this video, found it helpful, and thought the information is what you were looking for, I would really appreciate it if you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. It really helps me get this content in front of more people looking to move to Cochrane, Alberta. And until next time, I will catch you in the next one.